All this evening, I have fabulous Miss Sheila.
Hi.
It's true. We had none other than Miss Lizzie,
Hey.
Sean,
What's up? What's up?
and the Queen herself.
All right, here I go. Here I am.
I'd like to bring to you this evening our top four. I'm gonna ask everybody what's your top four fruits that you love to enjoy. Sheila.
Watermelon, cucumber, cantaloupe. I'm sorry, cucumber is not a fruit, but watermelon, cantaloupe, and grapes, and raspberry.
Miss Lizzie.
Mine is, of course, I have to agree with watermelon. I love me some good old mangoes, the ones you pick from your backyard. Strawberries and probably raspberries.
Hey, and Miss Sean.
My top four fruits are mangoes, kiwi, pears, and honeydew.
I guess host this evening.
Okay, so my top four fruits would be honeydew melon. You know, it's hard to find some good honeydew melon these days. Strawberry, apples, and I would go with mangoes as well.
Alrighty, some interesting fruits. Those are some interesting fruits that everyone had. So, don't get ready to get into one of tonight's topics, rather. Oh, they're trying to say I didn't say mine. I'm sorry, I didn't say mine. Oh, I guess that's what happens when you get to aunt status. You forget those. Listen, why none of y'all say eggplant? That's not a
No.
Oh.
We could do vegetables next time.
Vegetable. No, I like to drink my fruit, so I'm gonna go with banana, green apples, oranges, and just nothing like a nice, juicy, sweet peach.
Straight from Georgia.
Straight from Georgia, from the backwood. Gotta be round and plump though. We don't want no peaches all drawed up. Things
It's
not
juicy.
good.
I think as long as it's juicy would be
I don't know. But when the juice in them have the plumpness to it, is that why? Because if they super dried up, that means they no more. Right.
Well, we should know to keep walking past the dried up peach.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
I ain't ever picked them before like I had oranges because, it's Central Florida. Oranges it was everywhere. Our houses are everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. I can understand. That's true.
Y'all, well, I don't know.
No more.
One person here may not remember that, but remember those orange groves we used to pass by all the time growing up. Go down Highway 27, orange groves, both sides. Now, so moving on into our topic, we're going to start off with red flags with relationships. Pay attention to them. Do you ignore them? What are your red flags and what are the red flags? Oh, what are your triggers? Say that with absolute no's for red. Let the ladies take the floor.
Well, I will say one of my red flags will be just a lack of communication. I'm a communicator. My sign is ruled in Mercury, so I communicate. That's how I see the world. That's how I see life. That's just me. I'm a communicator. So if you don't have that trait, it's gonna be tough. Yeah. So communication would be one, and then the other one for me, I think the older I got, is emotional intelligence. You not being intelligent enough to understand my emotion or understand your own emotions. If you can't understand how you feel as a person, I'm not sure how you're going to understand my feelings and my emotions. So those are my two that are red flags.
My red flags are gonna be in any relationship. Don't start it off by begging. Even when it's a situation like you're on social media, got a cash tag. To me, that's like panhandling out the street. Just don't start a relationship off. Can you send me a cash tag? That's one of my red flags.
Wow.
So, quick question. Would you say that? So, how long into the relationship would you say you're okay with spending money?
I feel money is a reciprocal thing. So obviously I'm a little old school because I'm in that aunt status. So I'm gonna take you out to dinner and all that. First date gonna be on me, all that stuff. But just let me do it. Don't be sitting there asking for it, because that's panhandle, beg. Thing Yin Yang Twins should have said instead of nagging, they should have said beg. And unfortunately that's like one of the biggest red flags. Another big red flag is if I ask you what do you think you could have did better in a past relationship, you tell me nothing. That lets me know you're probably not open for growth. So that's like red flag 500.
And what if they say, I am who I am? How do you receive that?
Well, then that means you don't need to be with me. Because at the end of the day, we're all different people and we all should be able to grow every day on this life's journey. So if they are who they are, then continue being who you are, just not with me. Now, I ain't saying change your core values and things of that nature, but we all have growth every day.
Well, so does that mean if somebody states that they do not feel like they could have done anything, what was your way of saying it, different or better?
Different,
Yeah,
better.
things.
Yeah, they are.
Just
both.
wondering which one did it both.
Either one.
Okay, well, sometimes so I'm sure there's people that feel as though they have done all that they can do is as far as a relationship is concerned, and they may honestly feel like, but at the same time, they
they may not want to really focus on what they could have done better in that relationship, but they would like to do better moving forward. And I understand what you're saying, that would be able to help somebody get to what it is they want at that time. But also, that makes sense, because someone should know what it is that they are looking for once they decide to communicate in those kind of ways.
And understand with the better piece, let's get into that part of it. Saying absolutely nothing, well then I think you should still be in that relationship, because if it wasn't a relationship that was for you, obviously there might have been some red flags that you ignored. And so now this time around, you may be able to say, you know what, next time somebody come in my life, I'm not necessarily going to ignore those red flags, but I'm going to actually pay closer attention this time. So when I say better, it could have been paying closer attention to negativity, or that I know this not going to work, but I'm trying to make it work. Because a lot of times we do spend time in situations or with people that probably we shouldn't have spent as much time getting to know, or trying to make it work. And there's a saying that said in a movie once, but men typically get in relationships with women hoping that they won't change, and women look at the potential in men and get in a relationship hoping that male will change. And then so the woman ends up changing, maturing, and growing, and then the male kind of sits there and be like, well, I was like this when you met me, because he hasn't matured and grown, but you're changing. And a lot of times that causes strife. So I'm not saying that's in all situations, but it does happen a lot, or I hear it a lot. Sean, what are your red flags?
I would say a red flag for me is presenting as if you're something you're not. Don't try to be who you think I want you to be. Be yourself. Because if I'm talking to you, then obviously there's something that has appealed me to you in a sense. So yeah, that's one thing I really don't like. Don't try to be the guy in front of me that you think I want you to be. Be comfortable in who you are. Another red flag I would say is, for me, is a quitter. I do not like a quitter. Don't come my way if you're a quitter, because life is going to be filled with trials and tribulations, and this relationship definitely is for sure. So if you're always looking for the easy way out, I'm good on that.
So you say the easy way out. I got to ask. So are you saying that you're a hard woman?
No, Brandon, I am not a hard woman. I'm just a woman who knows what she wants. And if I communicate that to you and you can't handle it, then back down.
I get you. I hear you. I mean, but you said it's going to be challenging and quitting. I do know relationships take work, and we require a lot of work in relationships. However, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you just got to know when to throw in the towel.
Sometimes you just got to know not to go up for that challenge.
If you're
I mean,
not ready.
why does it have to be a challenge?
First of all, I do believe men are hunters. They typically like women that they can hunt. So, I mean, I'm not necessarily going out of my way to be hunted. I mean, I'm just who I am, in the sense of not that I'm not open to change, not that I'm not evolving as much as I can on a daily basis, but more so in the sense of, at the core, I'm just not an easy person to impress or excite. So if you see that that's going to be too much of a challenge, why come my way, ultimately?
I mean, but let's just be honest. The guy may have just saw you out and about, like, she's interested in everything. Had a few conversations with you, maybe even took you out to dinner. He didn't even think it was going to be that big of a challenge. When he met you, then he realized, okay, this is a challenge. I ain't up for it.
No, that's not, that won't be me. This girl doesn't present like that now. This woman here, I'm a challenge from the beginning. So if you don't like challenges, just, stay where you need to be at.
Gotcha. Okay, Miss Sheila, what's your red flag?
I said lack of trust, and jealousy. So those are my two biggest. And that's that.
Lack of trust and jealousy. We gotta expound on that just a little bit more. Gotta pause right there. Gotta get in there. So lack of trust / jealousy kind of go one and one. Why would he have a lack of trust, or why would he? Like, what is it that presents the lack of trust? Is it because you're an attractive young lady and maybe they're insecure?
That's something that they have to work on. It's all about communication.
So are you willing to work with someone who's not a great communicator?
Absolutely.
And how far into the relationship do you think you'd realize that they don't trust you or that they're jealous? Because let's be honest, some people are really good at hiding their red flags.
Well, you got to be able to read people. You got to be able to read, by having a conversation, like talking to them, you'll be able to tell.
Right. So how many conversations do you think it may take for you to realize that,
On the first one.
Okay.
I was thinking like, what's his name? The owl tree with the pop. I mean, a 1, a 2, a 3.
Nah, ain't no 1 and 2 and 3. No. On the first conversation, you could tell if somebody's jealous or if they don't have that communication. It's all about communication, building a foundation of communication, and that's that for me.
So do you tell them that you're going to stop talking to them because of the red flags, or do you just stop talking to them?
I usually ghost.
Ghosting. That's a whole nother topic. I think we could go on for 30 years about ghosting. And, last but not least, Queen, what's your red flag?
Okay, wait a second. 1 second. I don't want to. what I wanted to do, actually, I wanted to find out, and Sean had presented the question that I was just wondering, like, how long do you stay in a relationship after you have noticed that relationships red flags have came about, or that you have actually ignored red flags? When do you get out? I mean, what if you've created a whole family and everything, but now you are willing to look at the red flags and address them, and you know it's not going to work? Do you stay or do you go? I'm just wondering, like, what do people do once they have ignored red flags for a certain amount of time within a relationship? Do you just shut it down? Do you address them when they have already presented themselves and also been shown as a pattern and a habit? What is it that you really do at that point in time?
Well, I mean,
What would any of y'all do?
I don't know. We've kind of screwed ourselves up in this society. And the reason I say that, because a lot of times we get in situations very prematurely. We become physically intimate. We allow feelings to become involved way earlier than they should. And so we end up in the situations where we ignore those red flags because we've either A, been physically intimate, or we just feel this person is going to be all this much better. And now, yeah, we're in this situation with the family and all this stuff. At that point, it's kind of too late, I feel, because I mean, we done came 30 miles down the road. Ain't no point in trying to turn back around and find an alternate route, because we done came 30 miles down this road.
I can understand that, but now what if those red flags you have seen that they will now be a detriment to your life? And so that could go either way. It could go on a physical level where someone could physically be continuously harming you, or it could go on a mental abuse level where that's still going to be the detriment of your life when it comes down to it. So do you really just stay there after you're 30 miles down the road, or do you get off the road?
I mean, you probably shouldn't have been on the road to begin with, because I'm sure the signs were there. That's why we're talking about the red flags. They were there to jump in with. Now, I get, again, like you say, we ignored them. So I'm from the school of, if I made my bed hard, I'm going to lay in.
Yeah, I understand.
So, and I get it. It may be life-threatening. It may be life-altering, all of that stuff. But I chose to put myself in this situation. So I got to either deal with it if I'm going to stay in this situation for it to work, if I feel like it should work, or, again, I just have to exit stage right and make my adjustments accordingly. But at that point, I made my bed hard. And that goes back to the original statement in the beginning. Red flags are called red flags for a reason, because when you're out and they're waving a red flag on the racetrack, that's telling you complete stop. Don't go another inch further. So that's why we shouldn't ignore red flags. That's why they're red flags. Didn't say yellow flags. Didn't say green flags. They're red flags, which means stop dead in your track. We shouldn't go no further. So that's just what it is. But so we ignore those, and so we have to deal with the consequences of us ignoring those red flag issues. So I think we now got to start holding fast to these are red flags. Stop.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that should be looked at ahead of time. I just was wondering what anybody would do, and what would come about as far as once you have gone down that road. Now you have, just say you have someone that is raising your children, and they're making them a deranged, crazy person. Stay because you made your bed hard, and you.
Yeah, you done made the kids with this person.
Oh wow, okay.
You made the children with
wrong.
this
Everybody
person.
has
Something
their
to
own,
say
opinion
about that. So yes, I understand that you lay your bed, you're gonna make it. You're gonna, if you lay your bed, you have to just whatever. But at what cost are you going to allow others to suffer besides yourself? I love myself enough to if I feel like that's gonna be an issue, I'll just walk away, because I love me and I'm the most important person in my life when it comes to being happy. I guess what I'm trying to say is I cannot see a red flag, be okay with it, and just go on with life like, oh, this is all good, it's going to change or not, or I'm going to accept it, because I deserve better.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And if it is affecting my family, which is my kids, that's a major problem.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go with it. So either that person we're going to work together to change the trajectory of that red flag or our relationship, or it's a no-go.
And with it being a no-go, though, you still have to co-parent. If it's children involved, you have to co-parent with this person. So you have deranged crazy person over here and me over here with this saneness. At the end of the day, they're going to get 50%. According to state law right now, they're going to get 50% deranged crazy person, and they're going to get 50% regular sane me. So at the end of the day, that's why I say when it's a red flag, we have to hold fast and stop before we get into the point of children involved and things of that nature. Because once that bed is made, especially with children being involved, you can want to do it. You can, time and time again, people come in. I had to file a motion the other day. It ain't going to go nowhere, but we filed it because they're paying for it. She wants her children raised Christian. The baby's father is an atheist at this point, her ex-husband. And, when the kid's over there, I want the court to say that he got to make them go to church and do this and do that, blah, 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 blah. That's beyond the court's jurisdiction. They can't do that. Nothing about about that. You just have to deal with that with whom you created a child with.
And that's a part of parenting. That's a part of, you ignoring that red flag. Unfortunately, it's you got to learn from it. Don't do it again. Don't get in another relationship and ignore all these flags.
I agree with what Liz said because one, once you see that red flag, you should have just left. I'm not going to stay in a relationship just because I love my man or yes, I love him, but at the same time, we need to see a therapist. We need to seek help. If we can't get no help or going nowhere with this relationship, there's no reason for us to go any further.
So, just to chime in on what Queen was saying, I agree with everybody's perspectives and what y'all said. I don't disagree. So, I feel like more so what Queen is saying is there's times people get themselves into situations and red flags were maybe not even ignored, they just weren't acknowledged early enough before life changing decisions happen. So now you're in this situation where, you kind of move too fast and, let's be honest, people have one night stands and they get pregnant from one night stands.
That's true.
I'm sure they didn't have a chance to think of any red flag. So, it's kind of those situations. And then also, Lizzie and Sheila, you guys kind of mentioned on self-love and like you're first. But if you're a person who didn't learn that in your childhood, or if you're not there in life, then that's not an option for you because you're not even at that point to consider it. So ultimately, I think it's just more so, yes, like Brendan is saying, red flags should be addressed initially because they are red. They mean stop, don't go past go. But there's times where red flags have either been overlooked or you feel like those red flags may be able to evolve. The person may be able to evolve better, in which, at the end of the day, that's on your part. You're bad on your part to think that somebody would change because ultimately people change when they want to. So overall, it's just more so of a question of what if we're beyond the red flag stage where we can actually make a better decision because the decision has already been made. Really quick, my opinion on this was I think it depends how important is happiness to you. That's what would depend on if you stay or if you go.
I think happiness comes with emotional maturity. I think a lot of people don't realize what real happiness is or true happiness is because aren't or have not gotten to a stage of emotional maturity to really look at what is true happiness. How do I make myself happy? As you said, people have to reach that certain point. But as we're getting ready to close this segment out and go to a break, these red flags, they kind of lead into what our next topic would be after this break, which would be, do you get or do people end up with their dream person or just the person that suffices? And so, I think that kind of deals with our red flags into that more after this commercial break.
That bathroom door.
I love your hair. Oh no.
And we're back. Welcome everybody back to the top four. Again, I'm your host, one of your hosts, Brandon, Sheila, Lizzie, Sean, Queen. So to get into the topic, do people really get the person that they want, their dream guy, girl, or do they just end up with a person that will suffice?
Just to correct that, it's do men get their dream girl or do they just end up with a girl that will suffice?
I think it's universal.
I think it's more men than women, but that's just my opinion.
I think it's gender fluid. Because a lot of time women settle for guys that ain't necessarily the guy they wanted, but he's the safe bet. They're with him because he's the safe bet, but that's not who they wanted.
I don't think that happens I don't think it's as common with women versus men. I think if as a woman, I would say my opinion would be if a woman doesn't end up with her dream guy, most of the times it's because the dream guy would not step up to the plate. And that's when she had to make a logical decision and not a hard decision. I feel like most of the time, men end up with a girl or a woman who will just suffice. It's because a lot of times in these days, men will wait till they're about 50 and they start thinking about, who's going to take care of me when I'm on my deathbed.
That's true.
So when someone who comes around decent enough, they're like, okay, let's just lock it in, even though this girl is nowhere near what he really wants and desires.
I agree. I feel as though in relationships, either or party can be not so mature until they get to a point where they're like, oh wow, I hit this stage in my life. I am, I have my career going. I have all this stuff going, but I don't have a person to share it with. And instead of really getting the person that they've desired, they settle. I mean, that's a vague word, but it's the truth. They settle.
I agree with that.
But settling doesn't always have have to be looked at as bad, because ultimately when you decide to get married and be with one person, you're ultimately choosing to settle down. I think the word settle ends up getting a negative connotation a lot of times, even though settling is actually pretty good. It's a mature thing to do in a lot of instances.
I agree, and I guess since you said it that way, Sean, it makes a lot of sense. Growing up, you have this thought in your mind that, oh, I'm gonna marry this person that's this way and looks this way and have this much money and treats me like this, or I'm gonna marry someone like my dad, or I'm gonna marry someone like my mom, and you end up finding out that's really not who you want to be with. Not as a spouse. So then things change, you mature, life happens, and you're like, you know what? This is my person. Even though you wouldn't have never thought that it would be your person, because you always had this certain idea of, oh wow, this is what I want, until you finally get what you pick, and then you find out maybe this is my person. Maybe this is what I want. This is best for me.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was what I was going to address. I was going to say that many times, I believe that in the immature portion of our lives, often we may think we want one thing until we live a little bit longer, and we may see that those things that we think we want are not what is beneficial to a relationship as far as growth in a person, or as far as the relationship is concerned. So I think, I don't know, sometimes I think people do settle, and I think it just is a toss-up, honestly, because some people have, some people I feel like due to different things they may have done and different things, that have been a part of their life, they may have to not dream as high as maybe they would have originally. But, in the end, I think that I think as long as we have and are able to grow to a level of what is actually beneficial to us in life or growth, and as far as in a relationship, then that is, we're willing to settle once we are able to find someone that is able to match those things with us. And I think a lot of it is learning ourselves at the same time. Sometimes we settle for things that we thought we want, and then we learn that we really aren't that person, as what you were saying, Lizzie. So, I think that we can all end up in that boat, as a matter of fact, so, and then that's just like we were saying on the topic before, like, what do you do once you have realized and you have grown to a certain level? You may have been more enlightened than you ever have, or different things like that. So what, at those levels, now what do you do with your newfound information and revelations and things like that?
And that's why I say I think it goes both ways, because I've met a lot of men that has settled. I've met a lot of women that have settled. It's what it is. On the women's side, I've met women that's like, yeah, I'm just with him because of the money. Well, you settled with him just because of the money. And I've met a lot of men, oh, well, yeah, she do this, she do that, but ain't really who I want to be with. But we have to understand and it's back to, as you were saying, as life goes on, most men start maturing and realizing when they're older, like, hey, this is really what I want, this, that, the other. But I actually settled for this good looking woman that really can't do any of this that I'm looking for. And it's not necessarily my dream. So that's why I say I believe it's interchangeable both ways, because I know men that have settled, I know women that have settled. And to me, I think, honestly, we all settle a lot because we're in a vain world. A lot of us are in relationships because of how people look, as opposed to what qualities or what do they really bring other than vanity to it, what I really want. Does this person cook how I want my food to be cooked? Or is this person emotionally supportive when I've had a rough day at work? For the male perspective, I was sharing with someone the other day, 1,000 people could tell me, oh, you Superman, you just saved the whole world, you the man. But when I walk through my front door and that woman I lay next to every night tell me, oh, you ain't nothing. 1,000 people just told me I was something, but the most important person in my life just told me I wasn't nothing. I'm gonna feel like I ain't nothing. So, again, but when I put on my arm, she looked good though. Oh man, everybody looking at her. She turning heads left and right. But that ain't really what I want. That's me settling because of this look. And maybe she's settling with me because I got all this money. I ain't really what she wants. She really want Pookie out there that ain't got no job. And that's who she really love. It is that, the other. So it goes to me both ways. So I think we have to really just take an overall look of the people and evaluate ourselves, back to a later topic we'll have about the person in the mirror, knowing who we are before we even decide to enter into someone else's life. Because again, when we don't know who we are, even back to the red flags, we're going to ignore them because we thought this is what we wanted, but that's not really what, because we don't even know what we really want, because we don't know ourselves to know what we really want.
For me, I still feel like the men settle the most. And I just feel that way because in life I have seen that majority of the time the women, it's not many instances where the woman is not with the woman is not with the man man she wants because of her. She's not with him because of him. And because he either won't change in a timely fashion, or he doesn't have the maturity level that's needed for the relationship to thrive. I personally think that majority of the time in a relationship, there's one person who knows exactly what they want. And there's kind of always that person is, in a way, hoping and praying that this other person will catch up to speed with them enough so that they can maintain and survive. I think a lot of the things that we're describing have to do with growth and evolving. And people are just not willing to stick around for that. I feel like a lot of these issues could be nipped in the bud if we were doing things in a totally different manner, where we're having sex out of, I'm not going to say marriage because I know everybody doesn't agree with marriage, but we're having sex out of committed relationships. So we're taking the emotion and intimacy out of that aspect. We are living with each other, and our goal isn't, we don't have a greater goal. There's just so many aspects I feel like that are not being handled and addressed prior to some of the big milestones we're jumping to before we get into these, these relationships that don't serve us. At the end of the day, life is a journey, and as long as you guys have good communication, like Lizzie mentioned earlier, it's gonna be a problem. Because if you have the good communication, you guys can grow and evolve together. A lot of times, one person is outgrowing the other, and even when they try to take them on a journey, they might be too stubborn, or they just might not be there in life. So ultimately, I think we create a lot of these issues we have in relationships. They could be, they could be a lot more better and thriving if we just took the time to step back and just reflect on everything as it goes on.
Okay, so then I just wanted to bring up, as far as our previous conversation concerning red flags and different things, I just wanted to say that possibly, sometimes it depends on the perspective that we are coming from and what perceptions that we are looking through concerning different things as far as red flags, green flags. Sometimes, say you may be someone that is very fond of communicating, and you may meet somebody that may not be as well as a communicator because maybe they didn't grow up in their household to communicate different things to a certain level, but they may be, everything else you want, but all they need is somebody that would be patient and understanding with them. But all I'm just stating is that sometimes these are things that we cannot feel out in the beginning of relationships and getting to know each other. So I'm just trying to be mindful of the fact that sometimes we could look at things as red flags, but sometimes we really need to just try to look at the person that we are dealing with and talking to and communicating with to see if maybe that person just may need a little more incentive to be able to maybe communicate or whatever it is that we desire that we would like to elaborate on and grow in a relationship.
I will totally agree. I know meeting my husband, he was not the best communicator. I can say that because we've been together for a very long time. And that's something that I had to be patient with him about because I knew that he was my person. And I knew that getting through that barrier of communicating the way I need to be communicated to, and then the way I want him to communicate to me, I knew it would take time, and it would take me just being patient with him, just as well as I had a lot of growing up to do. And that's something that he had to be patient with me. So it's really a balance between the two people coming together to see, okay, is this worth it? Is this my person? Is this what I want to do? It's basically if you want to be with that person. Are you going to make it work? And how are you going to make it work?
So it go to like Sean said earlier, you got to put that work in.
Got to.
Yeah, you don't put that work in, then I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm a believer of the universe, and that all things happen for a reason. And with that being said, granted, all of us are different people, so we're gonna have different upbringing, different backgrounds, different beliefs, things of that. But also we're gonna have familiarity, and obviously opposites do attract. Yin and the yang is what it is. With that being said, in my dream person, I don't want that person to think exactly like me. I actually want them to challenge me, because at the end of the day, I'm a person that, when challenged, I believe that, as a Bible verse says, it says iron sharpens iron, but to use that metaphor, when you got iron sharpening iron, or when you're sharpening knives, when I was a kid, my grandma used to sharpen knives in the kitchen, and that metal scraping against metal, it made a lot of noise. And with that metal making a lot of noise, the product of it was a sharp knife, trying to achieve, you get what you need, so you can fillet your fish or whatever you need to do with it. So with that being said, I think that, everybody have their quirkiness about them, and everybody has their differences, but putting in the necessary steps or the work, as you stated earlier, to see that our opposites are gonna attract, and that we're gonna be, where I'm weak, you're strong, and where I'm strong, you're weak, and we're each other's strengths, and we can pick up the slack for each other, and boom. Because what's the song? The guy's song. He said, "I'm a movement by myself." Neo,
But
but
when
I'm
we
a force.
together,
Hey,
hmm.
I'm a force, like the Delta Force. I made the force be with you.
But even though he's singing that song, does his life reflect what he's
Well,
singing about?
we can go on and on about these singers and does their life reflect what they were singing about? Let's not go there because we're gonna call some names. A lot of them singing to women, and we thought they were singing to women, and they were really singing to men. But we ain't gonna go there. So,
I mean, quite often, females may write a song and a man sings it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's true too.
And
That's true too.
we're
But
not, you know,
so
it's all good. We love everybody.
definitely, we love
So,
everybody. I'm just saying that we saying the lifestyle's not reflecting. A lot of things people say and sing about. You got a lot of gospel singers sing about gospel stuff all day long, but what does your weekday and outside of church lifestyle say about you? I'm not saying that's all of them, but it's just what it is. The scandals and things we've read on TV, and
allegedly.
seen.
Everything is alleged and our opinion.
Of course, these are opinions. That disclaimer was coming at a show, so we got to take the legal right, obviously. But it's just what it is, and that's what makes this top four unique because we're getting everybody's perspective on it. And this is just Brandon's perspective. Don't do it. And we have another topic coming up that kind of expounds on stuff. Kind of moving into with that being said, that your dream guy, dream girl, are you settling? When do one knows when their partner is the one, or when do they not? First, I chopped it up a little bit, but I'll go ahead because these women have these big loopy handwriting.
That topic was kind of to piggyback off of what Lizzie said. Lizzie said she knew that her husband was the one, so she was willing to put in the work and to be patient. So the question is, what do you do if you know that the person is the one, but the other person doesn't necessarily feel that way? Do you hold on or do you move on?
Sheila, what you think? How do you know when that person the one, Sheila? I mean,
What
you still looking for 'em?
You know.
So, but what signs? I mean, do you physically feel it? Do you mentally feel it? Do you
I don't know
spiritually
because
feel
I
it?
ain't
How do
found
you know?
her. And tell me, have you seen her? I ain't found her yet, so I don't know.
It's just a feeling. It's a feeling you get. It's a certain level of comfortableness you get. You don't when you're no longer interested, I would say, when you're no longer interested in meeting other people or, it's an undescribable feeling, I feel like. Sheila, what would you do if the person you're with says, I know you're the one, but you can't see it yet? What do you do in that situation?
I guess we'll work through it. We'll work on it.
How can you, if I come to you, let's just role play a little bit. Let's say I'm your boyfriend, I'm your fiance, and you're my fiance. And I come to you and I say, from day one, I always tell you, I just know you're the one. I don't need to look anywhere else. No one else compares. You are it. And you don't feel that way in that instance when I say it. What are you going to respond to me?
I'll see because I feel like it's all about how he carry himself or what he brings to the table. That's what
Right.
I'm looking for.
Understood. But as your man, you saying I'll see is like a knife to the heart. I'm definite, but you telling me you'll see? What have we been doing? What are we doing here?
Okay, if you ask me, hey Sheila, I know you're the one, but I'm not sure about you. If I'm not sure, I'm just not sure. I don't want to jump into a relationship knowing that I'm not sure if you're the one for me.
Oh, we're already together. We're fiancés.
Oh, at this point, we gotta make it. Shoot, I'm sorry.
So you,
Whether you like it or not, we're gonna have to suck this thing through. See a therapist. Oh, we locked in.
even though you don't see that he's the one for you, but you're the one for him.
Child, we're gonna make it work. He's not abusive. He's a workaholic. He makes sure I'm good. He treat me right. We're good.
So would this be a form of settling?
Not settling it's not settling. He may not be the one, but I still have feelings for him.
So wouldn't that be settling if he's
It's-
not your
it's
dream
not.
pick?
It's not settling. I don't think it's settling.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know. I wanted to ask Brandon, since you said that you still looking and you have not quite felt the feeling. I was wondering, what does it feel like when you think it's the one?
I don't know because I done struck out how many times?
No, that's why. That's why you should to express what it feels like.
So I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know if I gave anyone past the stage to, or have been past the stage here lately to even say that I could quantify a feeling. Comes to if this the one or not. Because I mean, I'm an eligible bachelor. I'm on a different date every night.
Right, I understand. understand. I can imagine that you are definitely on a different day every night. But what I wanted, all I was trying to ask you was in the past and over the times that you have actually came upon someone that you felt possibly that could be the one. You never felt that way either. Is that what you're saying to me? That you never quite got a feeling and said, this could be the one. I just was wondering, what does that feel like from a male's point of view to think they feel that this is the one?
I ain't the male for that.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not, and
Okay.
and you can call me AKA Toxic Man. Nah, but seriously, I would think the feeling of finding the one. I mean, it's somebody you can talk to about everything with, you can open up to, and honestly, I haven't found that yet. So
Okay, Brent. I don't think you really understood the question that I was asking.
yeah, you asking me the feeling, but I haven't had those feelings. I'm like real disconnected
Okay, that's
from them.
right.
Yeah, I think I'm emotionally detached from feeling anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
You know that one.
I'll tell you that
That was a roadblock.
Can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
We got you. Not trying to catch you. We just was trying. I thought that's what we was here to do.
Nah, I got a lot of
different things, and men and their feelings, and women and their feelings, and
Woo.
and what we're trying to do in life, and in being enlightened, through the podcast, and
Definitely.
just
Them,
communicating different things.
I know them
That's all
men
I
and
thought we was here for.
them men and expressing their feelings. I don't know, but no, seriously. When it comes to the feelings subject, it's crazy, and that's why it says toxic, because I've detached for so long that even thinking about it, like, have I really? And I can't even fathom it.
So when you saw somebody, you said, "Ooh, wow, that's somebody I would like to talk to. That's someone I would like to communicate." And then you went to them and you actually got into communication, and then maybe you went out on a date. And then you might be thinking, "Oh, this may be the one. I like the way she moves. I like the way she talks." Oh,
With Brandon, that's not what it
okay.
sounds like. With Brandon, it's like, I want to take you on a date and unclose you. Wham, bam, thank you. And that's
Ma'am, don't forget that part of it.
Please
Wham, bam,
don't.
thank you, ma'am.
Don't knock me off and call me ma'am.
whoa.
Well, this conversation has definitely took a new direction. I think it's about time for us to go to a commercial break. So we'll be back on the next segment with the top four.
And we're back to the Top 4 podcast. None other than Brandon, Sheila, Lizzie, Sean, and our queen. And as this show get ready to come to a close and a wrap, we're going to leave you with our thoughts of the day coming in. Anything one of you all want to talk about? How was your week, Sean?
My week was great, Brandon.
How great was it? Anything interesting happened this 4th of July?
No,
You can go see the fireworks?
just another day.
It is just, well, we're not going to go there.
We're not gonna say, but it was just another day for me. To recap the show, I'll say I think these were some good topics that kind of spiral into the depths of other topics. Because it's just a lot that goes into how things get to where they are, if that makes sense. It's one thing that starts like a trace to dot. You trace one dot and get to the next dot and get to the next dot. And when you get to the finish line, it took a lot of dots to get there. So overall, with that being said, I would just say we as people, we need to learn who we are so that we can put out good quality energy to the world. You have a summary for us, Sheila?
Okay. Well, I do have something. I'm gonna wait on Miss Sheila to gather her thoughts or whatever. But I just enjoy conversation with you guys. I see the different perspectives. I'm getting to know, as I get to know you guys, I get to know myself as well. And so that's just awesome to be able to venture off and dive into. I enjoy all of these topics, especially with all of our experiences and what we have to bring to the table. I do believe life teaches us certain things, which we can share. And I'm pretty sure you guys out there listening can respect that and be excited to hear so many things that we have to share, because 9 times out of 10, you're probably going through the same thing or have experienced the same thing. So I'm just excited.
My queen?
I definitely would like to say that I appreciate you for podcast, inviting me as a guest and allowing me to get on the mic with you all and have these conversations and to be able to grow and enlighten ourselves as well as the community in order to take all of us to the next level and another level that will be better and higher than where we are already at today at this moment.
And no, I just got to say one thing before we go. Just one last thing before we go. Y'all know what really grinds my gears?
What grinds the Brandon?
Self-checkout, especially at Walmart. Man, come on. And then, hold on, no, not only Walmart, Circle K as well. People at Circle K will come to the machine and help you with the self-checkout instead of just bringing you to the register. That's crazy.
But that's why it's called self-checkout.
I don't
They're
want to
there
check myself out. They get paid for it.
Okay.
I'm not an employee of Walmart. And why I'm scanning my own stuff.
Well,
No.
we like Walmart, right?
Oh, Publix
So,
and Target.
okay.
These are just Brandon's preferences.
Yeah.
Don't let him speak
Ladies
for
and
us.
gentlemen, the views and opinions expressed in this show today are those of the castmates and not necessarily those of the network affiliation or any of the sponsors or anybody else. They're just our opinion. And so,
Brandon's
but
opinions.
yeah.
I like Walmart. Me and Walmart been cool for like 6 years now. We're back on track. No beef with Walmart.
That's how we know you're not from Florida, because we buy Publix. Tried and true.
Really?
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
we ain't shouting nowhere
I'm
else.
from a place where we had Kroger's, but y'all
Yeah,
don't
that's
got
Kroger.
Kroger's
See,
here. So,
no, I know.
yeah,
That's why I know.
whatever.
Because if you grew up here,
Yeah.
Publix was the store. That's all the old folks swore by.
I mean, I think in these self-checkouts, are they designed for us to not need people to check us out, basically? I think that's where they're going with the self-checkout.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to prosecute you.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you got the store with their stuff, I'm sure.
No, you ain't got to leave out. Let that thing think you done misscanned something.
Oh, yes. They will come see about you. So, but then that would be some type
So
of... a-
that's just something I needed to get off my chest. That's what bothered me this week here. So next week, we'll be dealing with some topics of dealing about our children and parenting, and a couple of different topics on our parenting, and we'll go there. And so, but before we go, the most important person got to talk. Miss Sheila, what you want to share with us?
Stay with love, guys. No matter what, stay with love and stay peaceful, okay? Be at peace within yourself and self-love, guys. That's it for me.
And I'm gonna expound on that. We definitely got to stay peaceful within ourselves, because it starts within us. You are responsible for you, aka the person in the mirror.
Brandon.